this beautiful Tuesday, I have come to you to discuss more about Mars because today is the day of Mars. And in this video, I will try to describe for you the fundamental core of Mars looked through Vedic astrology. Okay, so Mars is known as Mangal or Bhauma in Vedic astrology. Okay, and Mars is fiery. His energy is a bit harsh because Mars creates through cutting and burning. The feeling of Mars can be separation. That is why Mars is oftentimes linked to divorce as well as abortions, childlessness, and all of that. Saturn, more childlessness. But Mars is oftentimes the reason for divorces or just somebody being unable to achieve their goals in life. So, how do you do that? Because in the Vedic chart, Mangal Dasha is quite striking. And if you have Mangal in the Kendra houses, which are the angular houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, that means you're Mangalic. Okay, Mars in the 8th is also Mangalic, Mars in the 12th is also Mangalic. It's a very difficult expression of Mars, right? So before I begin, I'm going to tell you the mantra of Mars. So the beach mantra, so the Gayatri of Mars is Om Veeradhwajaya Vidmahe Vignahastaya Dhimahi Tanno Bhauma Prachodayat. And his beach is Om Krang Kreem Krom Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Om Krang Kreem Krom Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Om Krang Kreem Krom Sa Mangalaya Namaha. This is the beach of Mars, okay? Now, if you look at the temperament of Mars, Mars is tamasic. Okay, Saturn is also tamasic. Jupiter is sattvic. Mercury is rajasic. Venus is rajasic. Okay, so Mars is tamasic and it is a fiery temperament. And the caste associated to Mars is Kshatriya. And Kshatriyas go to war, like Brahmins pray and talk about philosophy, expound philosophy. Kshatriyas go to war, okay, and they oftentimes defend. So Mars is a tamasic planet, and that's why Mangal dosha is so heavy and Saturn dosha is so heavy, because to work through the tamas is inertia. However, tamas by itself is not all bad, because tamas, sattva, rajas, each of them, they create reality by suppressing one or the other guna. Okay, so by itself, Tamas is not bad. Shiva himself is associated to Tamas Guna, right? But tamasic energy is difficult to, work through, right? So Mars is immediately associated to war. Um, okay, let me tell you the Vedic mantra. धरणी गर्भ संभूतं विद्युत पुंज समप्रभं कुमारं शक्ति हस्तांच लोहितं namamyaham. Lohitang is also Mars, okay? Like Bhauma, Mangal. When you hear an astrologer, Vedic astrologer tell you you've got Bhauma dosh, that means you've got Mangal dosh. Okay, and Mars also oftentimes signifies temper. So if you have that Mars in the first house, like I do, you can have quite a fiery temper, but you're a go-getter, right? So the friends of Mars is Sun. Sun is, of course, a very close friend. I explained to you yesterday about metals and planetary interactions, where I said that Mars rules gold, but we see the Sun as golden, right? Sun rules copper. So there's this interchange between Mars and Sun at all times. Okay. Now, if you see that The sun is exalted in Aries. Aries is moon trikon of Mars. So that means that sun being exalted in that moon trikon house and ruled by Mars himself, that immediately signifies a very, very close relationship the sun and Mars have, right? Now, in Vedic astrology, moon and Jupiter are also the friend of Mars, right? Now, this is quite interesting because oftentimes you associate the moon and the Mars with trauma, because the moon is the mother, Mars is very harsh, so maybe moon Mars combinations don't oftentimes work well. But there is an inherent and also moon is moist and Mars is hot and fiery. Moon is kapha, Mars is pitta. So how do these two work together? How are they friends? It's because the moon essentially is the reason of creation. She's the reason. She's the mother, and Mars is, uh, sort of taking action to work on her karma, which the moon is creating on Earth. All these souls, and it's because of Mars we keep moving. Otherwise, if there was no Mars, then we would not move. Even if you have a Bhauma Dasha or a Mangal Dasha, right? So now, enemy of Mars, very important to understand this, is Mercury. Okay, now why is Mercury the enemy of Mars, right? Mars is action, Mercury is logic. Mars is hot-headed. So oftentimes, Mercury is very level headed, but Mars is not. So there's this kind of, dichotomy in their energies, and that makes them enemy planets. So, the Mercury in Aries is extremely rambunctious, boisterous, not necessarily someone, you could really work long term with or have a long term relationship with. It's a conflicted relationship. Even if they are together as a conjunction, they're enemy planets. Also during Dasha Mahadashas, this can enact if they are, in any way interacting with the Dashas and the Mahadashas. Neutral, very important to understand. Also Venus. Of course, Venus is the feminine. And Saturn. Saturn, of course, because Mars is exalted in a sign that is ruled by Saturn. Now, the day of Mars is Tuesday. Color is bright deep red. And the Mahavidya associated to Mars is Bagalamukhi. So, oftentimes in the Mahavidya tradition, if you have Bhauma dosh or Mangal dosh, Bagalamukhi puja homam is definitely to be done. You need to do Bagalamukhi sadhana as well if you are going to create that afflicted, if you're going to, recreate the energy of that afflicted Mars. If Mars is an operational malefic for you, that means you have Bhaumadasha. And this can really show itself during the during the dasha, the Vimshotri dasha, the Ashtavarga dasha. So there are many other dashas, right? So we've got to think that if Mars is an operational malefic, prayers to Bagalamukhi must be done. Homam as well as Kavach is very powerful. Now, one deity that I work with is Ganpati, which is, the Devata of Mars. So the deity associated with Mars is Ganpati as well as Hanuman. Okay, so chanting the Chalisa, Hanuman Chalisa on Tuesdays is very good. Or if you don't know the words, just listening to it is also very good. Okay, now Subramanya is mostly worshipped is Kartikeya in the south, not so much elsewhere. As well as Shanmukha Kartikeya. So these are more south-based things. Whereas in Bengal, we do Bagalamukhi and Ganesh Puja. Okay, and of course Hanuman, reciting the Hanuman Hanuman Chalisa. Okay, is very, very important. Bagalamukhi, I've got many videos on Bagalamukhi, sadhana, homam, basic procedures, many much written material on that. So check all of that out. So we've understood the reason that why Saturn is neutral to him. He needs to be a good friend actually, but they're both tamasic, remember that. Venus is Rajasic, and Venus is also neutral. Mars is neutral to Venus. So this goes to show that the masculine and feminine are in some way neutral. They need more energies to come through to interact. Okay, so this works well again in the Dasha and Mahadasha system. For instance, you have a Venus Mahadasha and Mars Antardasha. Then this works well if they're interacting in the either the D9 chart or the natal chart. Okay. Now the Mars is the ruler of two signs. One is Aries and one is Scorpio. His mood trikona is of course Aries. 0 to 12 degrees of Aries is the mood trikona of Mars. Okay, and he brings auspicious yogas if he's present in that degree. Okay, now exaltation, as I mentioned, in the domicile of Saturn. 28 degrees of Capricorn is the exaltation of Mars. Okay, male is the sex of Mars, like and it's an extreme masculine expression, Mars. So that's why oftentimes when you see that even women with Mars in the first house are extremely masculine. Of course, unless they have that Venus to balance it. I have actually Mars in my first house, but I have Venus on the ascendant. So thereby many times people do perceive that Venus more than that Mars. But I also have that Mars in the first house, makes you a go-getter, right? If that mood trikon 0 to 12 degrees of Aries is your first house, then wow. And you have that Mars place there. You have many Shubh yogas out of this. Okay, you get a lot of benefits out of this. Now, since exaltation is 28 of Capricorn, of course, debilitation is debilitation is Cancer, 28 degrees. And so, as I said, the directionality of Mars is south, right? Now, when you're doing on a Tuesday on the Hora of Mars, if you want to, if you have Bhoma Dasha, Mangal Dasha, or if you're under a very malefic, under a very malefic Dasha or Mahadasha, or, if you're having this very tough Mars experience, then face the south, wear red, Hora of Mars, astrological hour of Mars, face south, and you may chant ॐ वीरध्वजाय विद्महे विघ्नहस्ताय धीमहि तन्नो भौमा प्रचोदयात् बीज ॐ क्रां क्रीं क्रों सामङ्गलाय नमः ॐ क्रां क्रीं क्रों सामङ्गलाय नमः. That's a Mangalic position. Okay. Sun and Mars are friends, thankfully. Yay to that. Now, lucky stones of Mars, red colored, like I'm wearing coral, red garnet. Okay. A red jasper as well. Right. Red coral in this finger. Okay. Especially people interested in gemology or gems, please contact me, because I also suggest remedies and suggest gems. So that's something. Lucky color of Mars is red, a deep red, which you should wear every Tuesday. Should be something red, okay, that you wear. This will help you energize your Mars. Okay, for instance, if you have a debilitated Mars, if you have that, afflicted Mars, if you have that Mars and Saturn, although Mars is really, neutral to Saturn, but you have that Mercury Mars, can be quite a rambunctious, placement, because they don't think with their head. They're extremely hot headed, extremely difficult people to deal with, Mercury Mars people. All right, so this is something to think on. Of course, combust Mars also, because you do have Mars and Sun are friendly planets, but I have noticed that a combust Mars can be deadly. Either they are complete pushovers, that they don't tell you anything. Something like the Joker, where the troubled, the teased become the anti-hero. So that Mercury and Mars combination, because Mercury and Mars are enemies. Mars only has one enemy, and that is Mercury. So this is important to understand Mercury's rational thought, logical thinking. So you immediately understand that Mars, with his fiery tamasic energy, is there to eviscerate Mercury's logical thinking. So this oftentimes works quite dangerously if you have a malefic Mars Bhaumadasha, and then you have that Mars Mahadasha happening, and that Mercury Antardasha happening, and that Mercury is equally afflicted. Then that, those times are extremely troubled times. And rationality doesn't work, right? Of course, depends on the, and one has to uh, completely analyze it. But in my experience, those times are extremely difficult. Okay, the Vimshotri dashas. I mean, Vimshotri is one dasha you absolutely need to look at, but there are six other dashas, Ashtavarga, and so on and so forth. But the Vimshotri dasha is like a must. Like, you look at the Kundali, which is your natal chart. You look at the D9 chart, which is again an absolute must, because if you're not looking at the D9 chart, you may miss out a lot. Okay, so that is important, because again, if, say for instance, uh, Mars is a malefic in the Kundli chart, and it's an operational benefic in the D9 chart. So does how does that play out? Now again, you have to see a lot of things, but ultimately, I think in day-to-day predictions, the D9 chart works amazingly. Okay. Uh, ch- no, I can't take any questions right now. Kindly email me, please. All right. Right now I'm doing a video. So best remedy for Bhaumadasha, like I told you, wear red, face south, chant the mantras that I've already told you here. Also, Bagalamukhi Homa must be done. Otherwise, you may not be able to keep away from getting a divorce if you have Bhaumadasha. Okay. Now the thing with so Ganpati Hanuman. Always keep in mind. Listen to shlokas of Ganpati. Any shloka you can play. You can just say Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha. Om Vakratundaya Hang. You may say Om Glaum. Om Glaum. Okay, or you may say Om Shrim Reem Kleem Glaum Ganganapataye Varavarada Sarvajanam Me Vashavanaye Swaha. So you can sing that. You can also do Chishta Ganapati prayers, which is very important. You can be very powerful, especially for people who have Kritika Nakshatra stuff happening, because Mars rules Kritika Nakshatra. So ultimately, we even use in Uchishta Ganpati mantras, we use the beach of Mars. So we are always powering, because Uchishta Ganpati burns like Mars does. So if you are looking to invoke Ganpati, uh, of course, the normal form of Dakshinachara Ganpati works also. But Uchishta Ganpati, for those who are interested in the left-handed or Vamachara path or Kolachara path. All right. Now, I've already given you the Vedic mantras. You can check that back. Now, I have told you guys many times that there are remedies, right? Charity, remedies, donations for each afflicted planet. Mars also has his stuff like red cloth, red sari, especially if it is to a menstruating woman, red sari. Kumkum, sindoor, coral, like just a coral bracelet, copper actually, yes, copper, wheat, clarified butter. Not for me, I'm vegan, so I don't give clarified butter. I use only sesame oil. For everything, I use sesame oil. Sometimes for special Kali Kriyas, I use mustard oil. But overall, you will only see I use cold pressed, extremely high quality, edible quality sesame oil. Okay, now, yeah, so red cloth, flowers, red flowers, hibiscus works very well. Now, sandalwood also, and masoor dal, which is a red color dal. So even having rice and masoor dal on Tuesdays, anything red, or if you are a Westerner and you are eating, say, spaghetti, Then have a red spaghetti on Tuesday. And before you consume it, you offer it to Mars. If you know the mantra, you may call mantra is a name of a deity. When you're calling me in a crowd, you say, hey, 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 listen, listen. I may not know you're talking to me, right? But I'm passing and I say, hey, Tina Heals, you there? Then I look back. I'm like, okay, somebody called me. Who is there, right? Same thing with the deities. When you're calling them, they don't know. You're just in the ether, and then, uh, you call and say, Chrome. That means you are calling Mars. So the daimon or the spirit of Mars knows that you're calling him. So that's why Om Krom Krim Krom Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Om Krom Krim Krom Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Again, three types of chanting: loud chanting, whispers, and in your mind. So practice of all three forms of chanting and mantra shastra need to be there. Remember that. Okay. Now, best hora for Mars, according to my experiences, exactly 48 minutes before local sunset, wherever you are. Check the timing of when that sun is setting, and 48 minutes before that, you face the south, you wear a red thing, you can just even take a red stole. Okay, and then you can chant his mantras exactly 48 minutes before the sunset. All right. Now, and the donation articles I spoke about, they need to be done on Tuesday as well. If you can do it 48 minutes before sunset, amazing. Now, appearance. I've explained to you how the Vedic ancestors conceived the appearance of each planet for meditation. This also explains Mars in the first house many times, okay? Because when you think of the Devata, and the Devata is manifested on your body on the ascendant, then these oftentimes help us ascertaining the look of a person. Okay, Mars ruled people are generally very fiery, firstly. Okay, a lot of red aura around them, a lot of red aura and pitta imbalance. So oftentimes they could be like, burping, or feeling extremely gaseous, or extremely, acidic. Okay, there's no better word to put it: acidic. Pitta imbalance, okay, comes with Mars. So Bhoma Dasha oftentimes not only brings divorce, and not only brings you really difficult Mars Mahadashas and Antardashas and Bhuktis, but also gives you dyspepsia. So Mars is oftentimes like, my grandfather would say that if you look at Mars and Saturn, and of course to a lot of times Rahu as well, contribute to a lot of the illnesses. So that is something to keep in mind. The illnesses that Mars can bring out in each sign. Okay. Now we are going to talk about that in great detail after the appearance. Appearance is medium built in height. So, like Jupiter on the ascendant, you can grow really tall. Saturn on the ascendant makes you usually, thin, not very tall, not very short. But Saturn in Aquarius, they say in Vedic astrology, can give you corpulence, can make you fat. So that's something to think about. I don't know why, because Aquarius is so quick moving, so strong. But there is this in the textbooks where Saturn in Aquarius, not that I haven't seen it, I have actually in my experience as well. Saturn in the first house can make you corpulent. Very interesting. You have Neptune on your ascendant. I am about to make a video. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto on the ascendant, but of course through the modern astrology and through esoteric astrology. So here we talk about Vedic astrology, where we take Navagraha, the seven traditional planets, and Rahu and Ketu. So we do not bring Varuna, which is Neptune, or we do not bring Prajapati, that is Uranus, or we do not bring Rudra, which is Pluto. So we do not bring them into equation over here, right? So now what is the medium height and build, irascible, arrogant, really arrogant. Mars can make one really arrogant. And not to say that, okay, if you have Mars in the first house and Moon Trikon conjuncture Sun, Moon Trikon is 0 to 12 degrees of Aries, then it's going to be great. No, not necessarily. Okay, you may still be extremely arrogant, extremely arrogant. Okay, oftentimes Mars in the first house is a go-getter. That no matter what happens, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna get it done. I am gonna do it. I don't care. Like Jupiter in the first house is, being jovial, joie de vivre, interacting, mentoring, loving. But then Mars in the first house is a complete fiery energy, and I've got that Mars in the first house in Leo, so it's a very fiery Mars. Although I have Venus exactly conjunct that ascendant, but I have my Mars too in the first house with my Saturn, okay, and my Mercury. So all of my planets are pretty much pivoting through that Leo and Virgo axis in the Vedic system. Okay, and of course also in the tropical system, again Virgo and Leo. And of course, in the Vedic system, my sun is in Cancer. And in the tropical system, my sun is in 0 degrees of Leo. So it's quite interesting how, different things play out and different meanings are created because, the more you learn, the more you go into astrology. For instance, astrology for me is not about Vedic or Hellenistic or, Babylonian, or it is the lore of the stars, and I am a star lover, so I want to learn all the lores of the stars from Mesopotamia to Sumer to the Vedic civilization to the Islamic understanding of, astrology. And then it's worthwhile and interesting to sit down and link all of this up. And once you do, you come to the crux of it that everything is so, so connected, that they are all from one sacred doctrine, that they all originate from one source. And that humbles you because you realize that, oh, we come out here and we create all these differences. But the stars tell us one story. If we listen, we will always, of course, there are multiple realities, don't forget that. And you can work with your natal chart and you can recreate your natal chart, right? But the stars are telling you one story, they're singing to you one story, and it's up to you to receive that planetary rays. And the minute you start receiving the correct planetary rays, you see alchemy happen. Because do not for one second think that this reality, this, which is atoms are 99.9999999% empty. Scientists are actually acknowledging what tantrics have said, Vedantics have said forever, that this is an illusion, it's a simulation, and we are all playing. Okay, we have come to a very special school, a Gurukul, and the sun is running this little simulation. And the sun is the boss here. The sun brings in souls, and the sun wants to know how to progress. Okay, no, I mean, not necessarily. Okay, Mars in the sixth house actually has planetary joy according to Hellenistic astrology. So even Vedic astrology believes that the sixth house Mars can be quite a, go-getter, can be quite a force to be reckoned with if that Mars is in a good place, presuming that Mars is not afflicted or not disabled in some way. Okay, remember in Vedic astrology we also have the understanding of infant planets. 0 to 5 degrees planets are infant, 25 plus planets are old. So either in these two cases a planet cannot function correctly. Okay, and the 15 degrees is actually the best place for a planet, because that 15 degrees, also the exaltation of Jupiter is 15 degrees of Cancer, exaltation of Mercury is 15 degrees of Virgo. So once you see that 15 degrees is actually the perfect place for a planet to be. But obviously life is not perfect, and I for one am full of these 29 degrees and full of these 0 degrees. So it works. You have to learn how to work with the energy. So an infantile Mars, for instance, is not able to do what a normal Mars at 15 degrees, or say 0 to 12 degrees, 0 maybe not, give 5 degrees plus, go to about 8 degrees of Aries in the Mutrikona of Mars. That Mars is going to be super functional. Okay, even put that Mars in 15 degrees, although it's out of Mool Trikona. Okay, so these are things again you have to work through with your intuition, because astrology is not a hard and fast textbook thing. Okay, for somebody like me who's lived with astrology all my life, and I've been, you know, actually working with clients and stuff for the last 20 years while I was professionally in another field, I was still reading other people's charts. I was still doing tarot. I was still doing, tantric meditations and tantra and all of that while I was, having a full-time job writing screenplays and working under some very big directors. So it's a way you understand the energies, because understanding astrology also is sort of an observer's paradox. For this simulation that we are all playing in this YouTube video, you won't believe it, but I have seen myself on YouTube. And it may sound crazy to you, but at the very beginning of YouTube, I don't know, it was possibly 2006 that I really got hooked to YouTube, and I started watching all this crazy stuff about truthers and you know um whatever astrology was available back then. I don't think anybody, the astrology boom actually happened from 2012, but I have sort of seen myself on YouTube, and not me back then, but today who I was, I've seen myself. So it's a bit crazy, things can happen like that, and the reality shifts and timeline shifts. So that's also pretty interesting, but that's more about a discussion when we discuss Ketu, because that's what Ketu does, sort of slips you into other dimensions. I was just talking with one of my students about this today. All right, so now we've understood the appearance. Now, humus in parts of the body that Mars rules. Very important to understand. Mars contributes to most of our disease. Now, I told you that the appearance is lean, cruel. Okay, lean, cruel, fickle minded, and bilious. Bilious means prone to nausea. And I can vouch for this because Mars in the first house, I'm extremely prone. I was, now it's really stopped and so much better. But while I was growing up, I was bilious, I was extremely prone to nausea. You give me the incorrect food, and I had like really sattvic simple food. If you give me the incorrect food, nausea, headache, nausea, bus goes round and round, nausea. Okay, so bilious, being bilious is one of the things that Mars brings. Excessive, even bulimia, anorexia, where you're puking to get, you eat the food and then you puke it out. So that is also the force of Mars operating. Any kind of retching is Mars in action. So remember that Mars makes one bilious, okay, prone to nausea, bile, hands, parts of the body, of course, I'm discussing now, eyes, rectum, which is your anus, and blood. I explained to you how, blood has hemoglobin, which is iron. So Mars needs to be, supported by Saturn. The same way he is supported by Saturn in Saturn's domicile. 28 degrees of Capricorn is exaltation of Mars. So it's beautiful how these myths and how these uh, bits of wisdom they link up like a pearls on a string, and then you can choose the pearls and you can put them on the string, and it's beautiful actually. So any form of bile related disease is Mars. Okay, any form of eye dryness. Okay, um, I have that Mars in the first in Leo, right? And the sun also rules the right eye. So I've got this really bizarre power in my right eye, like a cylindrical power. And actually, while I was growing up, they told me I need to wear glasses all the time, which I didn't. I don't still. Only when I read and I watch, and I do tratak, and I do, of course, my, look out into the green, look far and look close, look far, look close. I do candle meditations, and my power not only has gone up, it's gone down. And they told me that the way my cylindrical was, my power was only gonna get bad, bad, bad. And I was scolded all the time for not wearing my glasses, for not being able to handle, for being able to go without it. And I did. So that Mars gives some kind of eye related issues. Also, could be eye dryness. Recently, a client was going through an extremely difficult Mars, uh, and eyes were drying up literally. So, at a point when he was taking those drops in the eye, and he also was taking injections in the eye because his eye was just like drying up. And Mars is fire. He rules the eyes. So can you imagine the kind of, energy that could happen in the eyes? So sometimes when you feel the burning of the eyes or even the dark circles, if I work really late, they all have to do with, relaxation of the eye. So that's something, and of course I've not been sleeping, so I've got this really burning sensation in my eye today anyway while I was about to make this video, and I thought to myself, great way to remind me, Mars, that your video needs to be done right now. Now, so I told you anything related to rectum, so IBS, even hernia, or any kind of complications with, stool and excretion, Mars. So watch that, look out for that. Also, blood related disease, of course, right? Blood related disease. Now, what are the ailments that can happen to you, especially if you are experiencing a difficult Vimshotri Dasha? Okay, of Mars. So say you have a really malefic Mars, you have bad Bhoma Dasha. You could get caught. Normally you could also, of course, but Mars will cut you. It'll give you wounding, sore eyes, dry eyes, hot eyes, or that that burning eyes, burning sensation, and even burning hands. Many people have told me about this, and it's always been about the Mars. Yeah, burning hands when suddenly, or over perspiration also could be. Many overperspiration could also be because of Venus or even Ketu. But even Mars over, some people just all the time perspire through their hands. That is a problematic Mars, or exceptionally high Pitta in the system. Okay, now boils of all kinds. Suddenly you get a boil. Skin problems are Venus, but also Mars. So there are different types of skin problems. You've got to identify and you've got to understand, is this a Venusian problem? Then I deal with it the Venus way. Is this a Mars problem? Then I deal with it the Mars way. Because don't forget, even Saturn can give skin problems. Saturn also rules the skin. So essentially, people with recurring acne, or what do you call that, eczema, or even athlete's foot, all these kind of diseases of the skin. That's something to think at. It's an astrological correction that needs to be done. As I told you, I will get heavily into the Lal Kitab next. I mean, I don't know when next, but a lot of discussions of the esoteric art and craft and philosophy of the Lal Kitab coming up. And Lal is red, so the red book. Now, not Mao's red book, but the real ancient tantric astrology red book of remedies. Now, so also you can have blood pressure. High blood pressure people have wrong Mars. So, of course, diet works with blood pressure. Keep yourself hydrated. Yoga, uh, pranayam, meditation, but also chanting the Mars beach can be really powerful for people who have high blood pressure. Okay, as well as piles, which I already told you, IBS, piles, sores of any kind. Some people are prone to sores. Oftentimes, if the sores happen on the feet, it's a Mars and Pisces sign, depending on the part of the body. Okay, some people may have, sores from perspiration here, some people at the back. So, sores again is an imbalanced Mars, essentially. Remember that. Uh, Itches of all kinds. Some people just, they go nuts itching. It's actually a disorder. But some people can just, like, because of their psychological issues, and that could be because of a moon, malefic moon, and a malefic Mars. But moon and Mars are, again, good friends. So, that I never understood, that how Moon and Mars could be good friends. How did the ancients, uh, think this out? Because I have seen that yes, Moon and Mars need to be together, could be together. I don't need to be together. It could be together, but it's not always the best. It's not always the best. Okay, depends on who's winning also in the Graha Yuddha, right? Or the planetary warfare. Now, remember, fractures of all kinds can happen because of Mars. Accidents, fires, freak accidents, of course, I've explained to you. Urinary complaints like UTIs, or as I said, hernia, any kind of problems with the urine. Even a really stinky urine is actually a signifier of very bad health. So really yellow, stinky urine is not good. So if you have that, get it checked. It's of course it's a medical situation, but it could also be astrological. And certain remedies may correct it with the right diet, and of course keep yourself hydrated, right? Jaundice can happen easily, blood oozing, especially if you have that malefic mass. You get cut and you cut the wrong artery. Literally like that. I know somebody who cut his hand and he literally cut the primary artery. So freak stuff like that. And he was a Scorpio ascendant with a retrograde Saturn and Pluto in the first house. So again, that Mars ruled Saturn. And that Saturn was also at like about 0 degrees. Of course, using whole sign houses. Was it about 1 degree or 0.1 or 2 degrees? So it was an infantile Saturn retrograde. It was a bad scene, and the person literally lost their limb. So always be careful of that. Difficult Mars situations. If the accident was to just nick you like that, it could literally cut your neck or cut the main artery. To be careful. Fires, I can't stop saying that. Tumors, different kinds of tumors can appear on the body. It is definitely a Mars imbalance. So, worthwhile to get your chart looked at. Also, epilepsy, classic Mars. Classic Mars Mercury, I would say epilepsy. Oftentimes, I have seen in my experience, Mercury, Mars, they are enemy planets. Operating together oftentimes gives epilepsy. I did the chart of a little girl recently, and I mean, she's barely like about 9 or 10, and she's already got these really severe epileptic fits. She had them, and a mom sort of controlled them with cannabis. But again, she has hardcore Bhaumadasha. Lot of problems with the Mars, and that Mars is with Mercury, and both that Mars and Mercury are operational malefics. So it was really really difficult to see that, actually, really difficult to see that, because a child doesn't understand what's going on. uh, Hopefully the right remedies, I have applied some Lalkita remedies for her. We just started on this, so let's see that hopefully that the child gets better. Now Mars represents stamina, endurance. Now, this is clearly exemplified because his exaltation is 28 of Capricorn. So, it is clearly exemplified that Mars likes stamina. We've spoken about two signs that have the stamina: Virgo, long term planning, stamina, and that Capricorn. That Capricorn has, I think, Taurus and Capricorn, I would say Capricorn wins the most amount of stamina. That is why that Mars is exalted there. Okay, Mars rules Dhatus as well. Prominent qualities to ponder on. Martial planet, planet of war, Kshatriyas. I say Kshatriyas, the caste associated with Mangal, is war. Are people related to warfare? People who protect, people who provide, right? Barren. I already explained to you the abortion aspect of Mars. I think I would need to make a video on this separately. I don't want to junk up the information. Mars causes most of the abortions. Okay, rainbow babies as well, miscarriages. Mars. So Mars can make one very barren. Mostly Mars in the first house, people will have one child if they do. Mars makes you barren, remember that. Autocratic, of course, autocratic. Mars is completely autocratic. My way or the highway, I'm the boss. Think of Aries, his mole tricone sign. Think of Scorpio, the other sign he rules. It's amazing. And think of Capricorn. I mean, absolutely bosses, right? So very much the boss, very autocratic, dictatorships. Mars can oftentimes signify dictatorships. So countries that have bad dictators oftentimes have difficult Mars in either their kundli or their D9 chart or any other Ashtavarga or any other chart. Okay. Now, like I said, that it's a planet of action and expansion. Jupiter is his friend. Explain to you how Sun, Moon, Jupiter are his friends. He's neutral to Saturn and Venus. And who is his enemy? Mercury. Right? So no logical thinking, no rational thought, just go for it. Autocratic. I want it my way. Let's do it now. Why delay? Why plan? No, let's get it done. That's Mars, okay? Quadruped, of course, because when you look at Aries, it's four limbs, right? So quadruped. Now, let us discuss some of the significations of Mars, right? Mars gives you courage. Like I said, that Mars in the Kendra house, first house, specially conjunct that moon in that, Aries moon trikona, huge courage, like massive amounts of courage. Oftentimes, those guys who do those kinds of adventure sports, kind of YouTube videos on adventure sports, Mars, strong, strong, strong Mars on the ascendant. Okay, very strong Mars. Younger brother, Mars will signify in your chart, are you a coward or are you not a coward? Okay, your astrologer will be able to see that by looking at your chart. An astrologer will be able to tell you, do you have brothers or sisters, or how do you interact with your brother and sister? So complicated Mars obviously means complicated interactions with younger brother. Okay, I have that Mars in the first house, and I've got a lot of complications with my brother. So there is, and I've got Leo. So it's a very fiery, extremely authoritative Mars that I have. So it's like that. It's just straight, do it. Don't think about it. And I regret it sometimes, but it's just the way I am. And I have that Mercury with that Mars in the mix, but thankfully that Venus is conjunct my ascendant, so that gives it a little soft feel. Stamina, an astrologer will be able to tell you what kind of stamina you have. If you go for a job, for instance, companies should hire astrologers, high end jobs, of course, and be like, will this guy have the stamina to complete this task, especially say things like astronauts. There's this billionaire who wants to take 11 people free of cost to the moon, so he definitely needs to get the chart of all those 11 people read, because do they have the stamina, do they have the endurance? Of course, they must have karma just to land up there and be there. I agree. But fine tuning things like this. Imagine a corporate developing a database where it tells you which kind of people are where, do they have the stamina for this? Then no, then put them in another department. That person fits better there. That person's a dreamer. So put him in the thinking, the creative side. So astrology can help us zero down on people's talents like this, and I think this is, as we approach the age of Aquarius, this is where we are headed literally. Today I hardly may get views on my videos, but as people are understanding the nuances of astrology, this is where we are headed literally. People are going to, even if it's 20 years from now, people are going to look at this content and be like, oh my god, forget only people, the AI is sieving through human content. So it's really, the field is open, open out there for the astrologer to. I don't agree to profiling, but I think correct profiling, I won't use the word profiling because it has got the pejorative tonality to it, but I would say that, Mars in Leo, one kind of people, right? That Mars into Leo in the 12th house, one kind of people. That Mars in Virgo, a separate kind. Mars, Virgo, 5th house, separate kind. So it just opens up the arena for HR to truly understand and pick people. Do you understand where astrology is going? Is not for people to just, okay, let me go on YouTube and I find out about my sun, moon, ascendant. Is there a video? No. Astrology is going to be applied in every field. This is the age when astrology will truly be recognized again, as the important components it provides in society and restructuring of society, right? It'll tell you whether you have immovable property or not. Mars is quite connected to property because oftentimes I've seen strong Mars people get into property development or selling properties, estate agents. I actually had a client about 2 months ago, I think, from New York, and he was an estate agent. Can you believe that? And what a powerful Mars he had. And he had that Mars. Of course, he did have complications, but he did have that exalted Mars, actually, come to think about it. Yeah. So now we have the astrologer will be able to tell you what kind of diseases you will get. Of course, disease, Mars. Remember, enemies. Enemies. Do you have enemies at all? Do you not have enemies? What are they hidden? Are they in the open? All of this, okay? Well, welcome then. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. Now, it will also be able to tell you surgery. Okay, if you're having a surgery, you need to get your Mars looked at to see if that Mars is strong for surgery, or you may need to perform some remedies for that Mars. All right. Also, it will tell you, like I said, the kind of blood you have. Are you anemic? Again, by doing Mars remedies, you can correct your anemia. Can you believe that? Surgery, I said science. Uh, that Mercury oftentimes gives a very, not Mercury, sorry, that Mars also gives a scientific touch. All right. Although we associate more that Saturn to science, Mars is also science, believe me. Very scientific, also surgeries. The best surgeons have the best placed Mars. Remember that the best surgeons, they will always have very strong Mars. Mathematicians, those people with yeah, foot surgeries, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, that can happen. Uh, so like as I was saying that surgery, be careful, scientific bend of mind, logic. All right, although we just said he's, enemies with Mercury, Mercury's logic, but Mars has his own kind of logic. And I think that logic can be put to good use during, especially, combats or war or, as I said, protecting territory. Mars can be very territorial. That is definitely sure. Fires of all kinds. Defense, like the army is pretty much Mars. That's why we have all our young brothers going to fight wars for some rich old men who will never die. I mean, never die in war, but who will send our young brothers to war. That is what's going on. That immediately shows an imbalance in Mars. These people, these young men and women, are literally losing their blood. They're being martyred. Okay, and what are they being provided? Nothing. It saddens me. Excuse me. So, as I was saying, mathematical bend of mind comes with Mars. Okay. Also, Mars is a signifier of the stepmother. If you have a stepmother, or if you will have a stepmother ever, Mars can tell you that, right? All kinds of libidinal sexual things, passions, all of that is Mars. Anger, hatred, violence, xenophobia, especially that Mars in Cancer. Sins of all kinds, just being licentious, being a philanderer, wrong Mars, being a rapist is possible. Vindictiveness, we see this vindictiveness play out through the lower vibration of Scorpio. Well, even Aries can be very vindictive. Remember that. Lewdness, just being lewd and cross, sudden death. If you go to a really good astrologer, They may sometimes, if you were going to die suddenly, they may be able to see it because of the Mars. Okay, although death is not something to, ever tell a client. Even if you have that feeling as an astrologer, you never tell your client that, oh my God, you have sudden death here because your Mars is doing this. No, you don't. Hopefully, you do the remedy for them that nullifies that ill effect. Astral remedies are the only way to go, believe me. Murders, Mars can also signify a murderer. An interest in murderers and serial killers is also oftentimes signified by Mars, right? I already told you accidents. Be careful during Vimshottari Dashas of Mars for accidents. So many people I know have had accidents. Bike, many of them, many Mars and Aries again, a lot of them. Poverty, Mars can also signify poverty, bravery, of course, in the war field, back at home, just being a brave person that other people can gravitate towards and get some, okay, that person's brave, they'll protect us. That feeling, is Mars. Ambitious, being ambitious, that I'm going to get this done. Obviously, planet of action, expansion, so automatically then Mars is linked to ambition. If you're not feeling particularly ambitious in your life, maybe it is because you don't have that correct balance of the Mars energy. You have a Bhoma dosha, you have a Mangal dosha. Okay. Bravery, fires like of ambition, like I told you, force. So using brute force for certain things. Okay, I'm a dictator, I'm going to use brute force. That's Mars. Brute force. Wounds of all kinds, skin wounds to cut wounds to, even a bee sting, right? Loss of morals. The worst thing I have seen that Mars can do, if it's a harmful Mars, operational malefic, Mars can make you lose your morals. So that's always something to keep in mind, keep in check if that is where you're headed, and you feel like, oh my God, because remember, depending on where Saturn is placed, karma's coming. So okay, you may lose your morals for a quick 2 seconds, and then what? Karma's coming, right? You can't avoid it. Professions, I've discussed a lot, so you will be able to grasp the professions quickly. Police people, military, medical people, surgery. Mars and Pisces can be great dancers, though. Any kind of instruments, making instruments, sometimes also playing instruments, if that Mars is with Jupiter. So, playing instruments, armament, making armament. You see on YouTube, so many people make videos where they, forge swords, and they make their own cosplay things. That's also Mars, whenever someone's trying to, be a warrior and doing cosplay, it's also Mars pushing them to that. Hunting, sadly, yes. Chemistry, yeah. Geology, engineering, dairy products. Because again, that moon, I think, moon rules milk. So here we have that Mars, very friendly to moon. Oh, beautiful. So that could mean that professions related to milk, although I'm vegan and I do not take milk, but moon Mars together can make you take up milk dairy related businesses, butchers, surgery, yes, but a butcher is also like cutting, right? Takes a life, a surgeon tries to save a life. So a butcher also has a knife, a surgeon also has a surgical knife, but the goal of the butcher and the goal of the surgeon is completely different. So this is the understanding of whether Mars is working through upper elevated consciousness, or whether that Mars is pulling you down. Beautiful, pulling you down and taking you down to literally take lives. Even being in the army, it serves no one but rich people at the top and the military junta. That's why it is such a big thing. That's why our brothers and sisters are going to war. Okay, so some people can line their pockets while we lose our family, while we wait for them, while we don't know if they are coming back, Why? Because some people want to line their pockets using a very malefic Mars energy. The military junta is Mars energy. Mars and Capricorn energy, mix that Saturn and Mars together, So that really pains me actually, war and the military junta and what's happening. And we always have so much money for militaristic maneuvers, but we don't have money to feed people. So this is a deep wound I have. Okay, cooking also. Mars can also make you interested in cooking. Mars and Taurus can make you interested in cooking. Hunting, again, another very harmful. Butcher. Are you the surgeon with the scalpel or the surgical knife that saves lives? Or are you the man with that butcher knife out to kill an innocent animal so you can feed other people? Are you that man with the gun to just go out there and take life because you feel powerful that you have a gun? That you feel that you need to take the life of an innocent animal out there in the forest living its life who has done nothing to you? So, do you feel compelled? And that's a very wrong vibration of Mars. And you definitely have a Bhama Dasha. You need to show off your power. Look, I shed blood. Look how powerful I am, right? Oftentimes, warriors would take the blood of the enemy and wipe it like that. That's a Martian declaration. Okay, so again, loss of morals, like I said, Mars pretty much signifies loss of morals. So, are you going to be the butcher or are you going to be the surgeon and the healer? Mars can make you a great, great healer too. That you can save lives, you can deal properties, you don't have to, suck people, you can help people get homes. So, it depends on how you're using it. Even fire people, firemen have strong Mars in them, bakers. Dentists oftentimes have Mars in the first, if you ask me, or then Mars in the 10th. I'm making aspects for sure. Kendra houses, cleaning of furnaces. You can be an athlete. I completely forgot. Sportsman. Mars can make you a perfect sportsman. Other Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, all of them strong, strong Mars, strong Mars. Okay, you can be a commander of an army. You can be into archery, and again, you don't have to be in archery to shoot some animal. You can be in archery as a sport. Okay, taming wild animals is also something Mars can do. Using the energy of Mars, you tame wild animals, right? In fact, Bagalamukhi, the Mahavidya associated to uh, Mars, tames your speech. So it gives you the power of stambhana, which means to stun your opponent. All right. Now, I think we pretty much covered whatever little points I'd taken down to discuss with you, and we already had an hour discussion about Mars, which I think is so important. And today being the day of Mars, and it is really a powerful day today. I've been feeling it while I was taking classes, doing readings, and I did feel his energy very, very strongly. So, if you can face south today, many parts of the world, the sun has not set. So, use that. Look at the exact time when that Mars is going, when that sun is setting. Come 45 minutes before that. Wear red clothes. Face south. You can also apply some kumkum. Face south and say, Om Krom Krim Kram Samangalaya Namaha. Okay, you can say it 11 times, you can say it 108 times. Om Krom Krim Kram Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Om Krom Krim Kram Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Om Krom Krim Kram Sa Mangalaya Namaha. Today is also Rahu's day. In case you have that, say that Mars, Mahadasha, and Rahu Antardasha. Very powerful for you, and of course, I'll make separate videos on Rahu and Ketu. But I do intend to come back right now again for another live. Uh, I think I'm going to do that Saturn Venus video that I had discussed that I really wanted to do because Saturn and Venus have already been conjunct. this just February, 15th of February. Ah, yes, yes, yes. All right. So take care. And it was so nice to have some people while I give my lectures, because oftentimes I cannot announce that I will be right here at this particular point. Please subscribe if you don't mind, if you like the content. Please subscribe. And soon I will be making a video because I am personally being evicted from my place, and I would be making an SOS video asking my subscribers if they would kindly donate a small amount. So, I look after 27 animals, 10 on the road and 17 at home. So, I can't live in a really tiny apartment. I need to take a little, a big place. So it would be great if some of you could donate, and I would be making a video about that shortly, but not today. I want to make it on the correct tithi and the correct muhurta. So take care and thank you for being here. Speak soon, and don't forget to book your reading, right? And don't forget to share this information, because this information, all of this work that I'm putting out there, honestly, is not available. So please support me if you like my work, and thank you. Drop me an email. Signing off. Bye.